All right, what's up, Joel? So today we're going to be learning about rotation, and this is our so rotation is probably one of the more complicated ones to think about. So if you have any questions after this, please let me know. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're gonna look at is 90-degree clockwise rotation, and so we have figure W, X, Y, Z is rotated 90 degrees clockwise around the origin, which means we're rotating our shape around the point 0, 0, and we're going to label it W prime, X prime, Y prime, and Z prime on the image, and then use our diagram to fill the table. So if we have our points for W, X, Y, and Z, we can also look at this new shape here and kind of think about where are our new points going to be when we rotate that shape 90 degrees. And so W is actually going to end up at negative or 3, negative 1. Our X is actually going to end up at 4, negative 3. Our Y is going to end up at 1, negative 4, and our Z is going to end up at 2, negative 1. And so when you ask this question, what do you notice about the X coordinate of Y? Hint, does it relate to W? So let's look at our W here. We know that our coordinates for W, our new coordinates, are going to be at 3, and then we have negative 1. Okay, and so if you look at this, what happened to our X coordinate is that it just simply flipped, right? Our Y became our X and our X became our Y, but our X also flipped in sign. So let's double check this and make sure it falls true for all of our points. So X became 4, negative 3, so 4, again, it flipped, and then it became negative 3, and again, it flipped, and our X changed its sign. So we can assume that this one's going to become 1, negative 4, and let's double check if it is. Y would be here, 1, negative 4 is correct. So this one would be 2 and negative 1. And we can double check that to make sure it's true, and it is. And so our X coordinate is becoming our Y. So we'll just put our Y. And then if we notice our Y coordinate became our X and changed signs. Okay, so the same thing happened for the rest of the points, and the answer is yes. So our rule for this is our Y, and then our X will become a negative X. Cool. And so we can also come down here and look at it, what happens when it's counterclockwise. And so we have our W, Z, and so our W will become, let's look at this. Our W will become negative 3, 1. So again, our points switched, but this time our Y became the negative. So this one we can assume will become negative 4, 3. And this one will become negative 1, 4. And this one will become negative 2, 1. Okay, and so that's kind of our rule when we're working with rotation. We can also use protractors to also figure this out. Okay, and so let's go ahead and move on to our, if we had 180-degree rotation. And so 180-degree rotation is actually a lot simpler because the only thing that happens is that our points actually just change in, they both just change from negative to positive. So our Z is at 1, 2, and so this one will become negative 1, negative 2. So our Z will become negative 1, negative 2 if we're rotating 180 degrees around the origin. This one will become negative 4, negative 1. This one will become negative 3, negative 4. And this one will become negative 1, negative 3. And exact same thing would happen if we went counterclockwise, right? And so that's the biggest difference with 90-degree rotation and then 180-degree rotation. And so if you have any questions on this, please let me know. But in reality, that's kind of the gist of rotation. Also know that we can rotate around any point, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily around the origin, but you can also rotate around, a specific point. We could rotate around the point negative 1, 1. We could rotate around the point 5, negative 3. Just kind of remember that 90-degree rotation, if it's clockwise, your X and Y flip and your X becomes a negative. If it's counterclockwise, your X and Y flip and your Y becomes negative. If it's 180-degree rotation, both your X and your Y don't flip but become the opposite sign. If you have any questions, let me know, but you can go ahead and do the activity. Bye, Joel.